get stuck, whatever it is.
I don't, but I didn't know that.
So you didn't know that doesn't mean that you should know. Accidents can happen. And it's an electronic thing.
Half of the time our lift is already like.
Yeah, today we had to climb up literally. There was no lift. Sorry. Because I am in surgery, we are doing that now.
Yes, I.
Letter. Today, don't give me because today I'm not feeling well. I'll do that because today you all are going at 9:15. I think so. You all have only one class today. 10:45.
9 o'clock.
Today you all. Today you all have only one lecture. That's what I'll not get time to check because next is communicative English. So I need to prepare.
Are you well?
No, I'm not well. I'm sick today.
Can't get quiz.
Yeah, better get time to know it where it is.
We have to check the letter.
I will check the letter. I need to because this time I hope you'll have written decent letters. I must swear.
And 3 line का ये दो paragraph, 3-4 line.
As long as the content is proper, that is fine. And secondly, I want even an analytical paragraph from you. Your analytical paragraph also was horrible.
Hey.
Sorry? This one, first slide, what it was.
No footprints without footprints.
I hope you'll have brought your textbooks.
Oh.
Yes or no?
First slide.
Footprints without facing. Practical surgery. What is the story all about? Sorry.
Now what? The story is about a mistress and his dog. And the author narrates the story. He tells that the mistress has taken so much care of her that he's knotted like a sausage with legs on each side.
Okay.
So he takes the dog with himself to give him a proper training so that he can get back in shape. It goes well and he gets well.
Alright. Why didn't you bring your textbook? You said I'll give what? Did I say today I'll do grammar?
He was to carry all the books.
I told you to carry all the books. And that is good that I have the textbook so you can refer to that. Don't refer to this one, let him refer to his own textbook. So where did we finish this one? Alright. What happened to Trixie according to Mrs. Pumphrey? What happened to Trixie according to Mrs. Pumphrey?
Malnutrition.
What?
Malnutrition.
Please read. What happened to Claire? This one? What was wrong with Trixie? It's written in front and home. In last. Only malnutrition.
You were very listless.
Listless. What does listless means?
With no energy.
No energy. And he was suffering from malnutrition. What did she give him? She gave him malt, she gave him cod liver oil and a bowl of olives. Why?
Because she thought he was malnourished.
She wanted to build up his energy. Riguraj, come this side. You will not be. Are you able to see? Then move a little this side. Okay. There. What did the doctor advise, Mrs. Pumphrey? What did the doctor had advised? You all also get
Cut down
answer.
on sweets and
Yes.
plenty of exercise.
Yeah. So, was she able to do that?
No, because the gardener who used to do it, so it was down with. I mean, no, she used to take him on small walks. All the sweets.
Was she able to do that? No, she wasn't able to do that because he seemed weak to her, and she, when he would beg, she would give what she would give?
Malt.
Love,
Cream
cream
cakes
cakes,
and chocolates.
and chocolate. So he couldn't refuse him, so she would to give cream cakes and chocolate whenever this Trixie would beg. And what was the problem with Trixie?
That was never able to.
He was very greedy, not full of greed. She framed it as he was very greedy. And who used to take him for a walk?
No,
The gardener, Mr.
Hodge.
Hodgkin. Hodgkin. Okay. What kind of problem does the gardener have? What is lumbago? Yes. Lumbar region, what you have a back spinal cord. Yeah, that. Just give you a tip of start this one. Thank you. Alright. Did we finish this page? No. Then please read.
This sounds so weird. Now I really need this. If you don't cut his food right down and give him more exercise, he is going to be really ill. You must harden your heart and keep him on a very strict diet. Mrs. Pumphrey wrung her hands. Oh, I will, Mr. Harriet. I'm sure you are right. But it is so difficult, so very difficult. She set off, head down along the road. Are the determined to put the new regiment practice regime in practice meeting.
Stop. Alright. Now, what is severe means? I try to sound more severe. What is severe means? Strict. Yes. Sound to listen more strict. Why? Why he wanted her to be strict?
Because otherwise, Tricky will get really ill.
Tricky would get really ill. And what was her problem? Was she greedy? I'm asking what was Mrs. Pumphrey's problem?
She thought that he was malnutrition, so
She couldn't resist.
What was the major problem? Tricky was greedy. She was soft-hearted
And she loved Tricky. She blindly loved Tricky.
blindly loved Tricky. So, like, you can't resist when a person comes to you. You see, your grandparents also, you'll find that your grandparents pamper you a lot, while your mother or father will not pamper you. So, whatever you demand, your grandparents may give you, your mother and father will not give you. So, you know how to manipulate your grandparents and to help to make them scold your parents, right? Because that also is like, blind love basically, because they love you, they don't meet you often, and maybe because of that, like every mistake they forgive you, know? Everything like that. So this one here, her problem was she loved Ricky blindly. She couldn't be stern, couldn't be severe with the dog. Okay, it was like she had this kind of attachment to the dog that like any mistake if the dog makes or anything the dog would ask, she would give it without thinking. Okay, that so that's what he told her. You must harden your heart. That means you have to become very firm. You should learn to deny. Okay, harden your heart and keep it on a very strict diet. Because what happens if he doesn't cut the food down? If she doesn't cut the food down, then he's going to be really ill. That was the thing. So she keeps on feeding him, right? Whenever Dixie comes begging, so she'll feed him. And with that, he'll fall really, really ill. Because remember, when we also overstuff as humans, we will vomit it out. We'll fall sick. The same thing. And she wrung her hand. What does wrung her hands means? Like, literally, like, just like when you wash your hands, like this one. But here, when it's very difficult for you to do something, so you just bring your hands like this and wonder, like, it's very difficult not to give it to Trixie. So she said, "Oh, I will, Mr. Harry. I'm sure you're right. But it is so difficult, so very difficult. And it's like, keeping your stone on your heart and denying something. So for her, it was very, very difficult. Like that emotionally, like she was not capable of not giving him. Okay, that kind of love she had, she couldn't refuse Ricky. Alright. And that's why she said it's very difficult. I can't deny him, that kind of thing. She set up this one, determined put a new regime into practice. What does regime means? System. A new system. Good. A new year. Basically system. Not pattern, system. Like for example, for the board exams, when you will have to start a new regime, like make a proper timetable and each subject allot certain time and it will be a new regime for you because you never follow. You take life very casually and it goes on. But once board exam comes, you become more panicky. So then you make a new regime for yourself. Yeah, then you are the most stressed. That's right, and that's the biggest mistake you make. Now you need to set a regime for yourself, like getting up early in the morning and starting your studies off. Yeah. And not thinking that your holiday is on, so that's why no studies. Unfortunately, morning early you're coming here. At least afternoon or evening time you should.
I watched. I'm also holiday.
Yeah. Lots of holiday homework is definitely going to be there. That's what I say.
Now from where the expectation.
I watched.
I watched their progress with growing concern. Vicky was toddling along in his little tweed coat. He had a whole wardrobe of their coats, for the cold weather and a raincoat for the wet days. He struggled on dropping in his harness. I thought it wouldn't be long before I heard from his conflict. The expected call came within a few days. His complaint was distraught. Vicky would eat nothing, refused even his favorite dishes, and besides, he had vowed her vomiting. He spent all his time lying on a rug, panting. He didn't want to go for walks and he didn't want to do anything. I had made my plans in advance. The only way was to get Ricky out was the house for a period. I suggested that he be hospitalized for about a fortnight to take an observation.
Sure. Right. So the doctor knew, Dr. Harriet, he knew that something is going bound to happen because the way she was behaving, it's very difficult for me to say no. So he he watched carefully, kept an eye with growing concern because he knew Trixie is going to definitely fall sick. He's already told her you have to control yourself, otherwise Trixie will fall sick. And this happened. He was tottering along in his tweed coat. Tweed is your woolen coat, those woolen material coats. So that, and he was tottering in the sense he's already I showed you Trixie's picture. Remember, he was very very fat. So your his legs wouldn't support. So he was like shaking and walking, like basically like a duck waddling kind of a thing. So like that's it. He had a whole wardrobe for these. Now see, she went over, like as she said, she went overboard with a lot of things. So she had a lot of codes for him, like we call them nowadays dog mother, dog father, those kind of who treat the dogs like their children. So she basically, Trixie was a child. So she would buy all different kinds of coats. She would buy a raincoat for him for the rainy season. And like harness, what is a harness, right? Remember those, yeah, basically around their waist, because nowadays it is very cruel to have the harness around the neck. So nowadays, what is this? If you've seen dogs, if you want to see, you see dogs taken for a walk, then that particular straps which are there, it is around their waist, correct? Because it shouldn't hurt their neck. So like that, it chokes them, right? So and in that harness he was drooping, he was bending down, like he didn't have this energy. Okay, so he was bending down and like literally couldn't walk because of the overweight. Then I thought it wouldn't be long before I heard. So he knew, the doctor knew that it wouldn't be long means the business company will definitely phone him in a few days. Because if this continues, definitely he is going to be sick. So he knew this. The expected call came within a few days. So within a few days, what he had met her, he expected the call and he got the call. He got this one, and she was distraught. What does distraught means?
Panic.
Panicked, distraught.
Very worried, very much
Very worried, unable to be consoled, that kind of sorrow, that kind of anxiety. So distraught is basically very worried, very panic, not in the panic, like very, very anxious. Tricky would eat nothing, very anxious, okay? So Tricky would eat nothing. Now what happens if you overstuff yourself? Definitely not a single morsel is going to go in your mouth. And he refused to eat his favorite dish and he had bouts of vomiting. So in between he will start vomiting. Okay. He's so stuffed that is like nothing, body cannot digest anything. It becomes like for us also, as I said, it becomes that like our body refuses to, it's completely shuts down because we have overstuffed ourselves. So you will vomit it out because that excess of whatever you have eaten has to come out. So that will bounce of vomiting. He spent all his time lying on the rug panting. And it's like, the first thing is always remember you have to hydrate yourself. Keep on drinking water because what happens when your body is shut down is the sips of water will help you to in digestion also and in your system to calm down also. Right. So whenever we say this one also, that's one of the things also scientifically proven that when you are very stressed, when you basically during your exam, your brain is already stressed and all that. So drink a sip of water before you start. Drink a sip of water before you start your exam, and in between of your exam, like when you take by, what happens? One is basically water calms your system down. Two, if you realize when you're drinking water, you don't think. You don't think when you drink water. Yeah. You don't think how you want to go to the washroom. 3 hours you cannot go to the washroom. That is there. But I am saying three means sips of water. I'm not saying one glass full of water, but sips of water during the exam, it helps our system to calm down. It's scientifically proven. Water helps you to calm down. And secondly, if you take sips of water, at that particular time brain is not thinking also. Because when we drink water, we are only concentrating on drinking water. So that is there. And he spent all his time lying on the rug panting, didn't want to go for walks, didn't want to do anything. So he just was, as I said, listless. Listless is the correct word. He didn't have anything, he didn't want to do anything, he didn't want to even move his like body. I had made my plans in advance. The only way was to get Ricky out of the house for a period. So he already knew that Ricky is definitely going to land up in the hospital. Okay, so he's already planned out. He knew that he has to wait, so he planned out. The only way was he needed Tricky to be out of the house. Why? Because her love for Tricky was smothering him. Not smothering him, basically not allowing him to get healed. Yeah. So it basically she's like in her love for Tricky, that when we said blind love, she was giving him, feeding him, which was dangerous for him. Right? And it happened. So he says it's better to be out of that particular house in order to heal. He had spent all his time, sorry, I suggested he be hospitalized for about a fortnight. Fortnight? Sorry? Yeah, normally 2 weeks. Fortnight is it's 2 weeks, okay? So fortnight we kept under observation. So that when you are admitted in the hospital, you are kept under the observation, you are taken, a lot of tests is taken, a lot. But here he didn't need to take out tests because he knew what was wrong with him. Why are you his barber? You can never sit straight, what? Read. What should read?
I made my plan.
The poor lady.
The poor lady, she was born, he was a blind and died. He did not see everything. And life, when he was 88 and this was the only way to save him. And I thought it best to be I thought it best to take him with a million forward and be variants. I marched out to the car, carrying the little dog who was wrapped in a bag. In his entire staff was roused and made questions around his night bed, favorite cushions, toys, and other things like paper, ball, lunch, supper, realizing that my car would never hold all that full stuff. I started to drive away as I moved on from 3 houses, considering that below an armful of 2 little coats to the window. I don't there before I told it all now to everybody was there.
So what do you like? How? Uh, what shows the blind love for Vicky?
Now all of the stuff
Sorry.
all of the stuff
So what are the
What
stuff?
the type of fancy things? These are his bed, his night bed, favorite cushions, toys and rubber rings, breakfast ball, lunch balls.
Now you need only one bowl, not bowl, bowl. So it is you need only one. If you take in breakfast, this one dogs don't need 3 different dishes. Okay, and here she's stuffing the car with lots of Vicky things. So you know that she went overboard in giving Vicky everything, every comfort what we really desire. Okay, we come to this first. Soon, what does soon means? Yeah, nearly she was dizzy. Swoon is basically dizzy. When you're dizzy, when your head goes round and round, that is called dizziness. So she nearly swooned, and he said he would pine and die if he did not hear it. Pine, longing for somebody. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, when you miss somebody really a lot, then it is pining. Okay, and but the doctor didn't give him. He says he was very firm. He was very ill, and the only way to save him, in fact, I thought it best without delay. So, only way to save, because if he doesn't recover, he will definitely die. So, that's what he said. Only way was to take him away without delay. And your wailings, what does wailing means?
Thanks.
Crying. Wailing is crying. I marched out of the car carrying the little dog wrapped in a blanket, and he's literally like a baby. He's wrapped in the blanket and he's carrying. So imagine a small little baby carrying him like that. So the entire staff was roused. Roused?
Friends.
No. Roused?
Around.
No. What is aroused? Aroused.
Arrive.
Sorry?
Shock.
Huh?
Arrive.
Alright.
And it's like all the stuff in the shop, like you are.
Then arousal is all part of vaccinations.
Huh?
Vaccination.
Bankrupt? No, you are a masseuse. What? What does rouse means?
Right. And then some water and some pain.
Huh?
Like they were very shocked. They're very tense. Panicky.
They were basically made to be energetic, and this one rouse is basically when somebody is sleeping and you're waking them up, right? The ear with this one, she's making them energetic. Yeah, panicky is not the word for panic, but she's waking them up basically. Rouse and maids rushed in and out to bring his day bed. Now he has a day bed. Okay, he has his night bed. So you have your day bed, you have your night bed, you have your favorite cushions. Yeah, day bed is a separate thing, night bed is a separate thing. He has his favorite cushions, toys and rubberings, breakfast bowl, lunch bowl. So this is what shows you how she went overboard. Supper bowl. What does supper means? No, dinner is just before dinner. Actually, supper is normally done in abroad. Here you don't do have supper, but
Around 6 or 7.
yeah, between 6, 7, 6:30, 7, 7:30 like that. realizing that my car would never hold all the stuff. So now he has an NCBC car, he doesn't have the plant, and so many stuff, day bed and night bed and this bed and that. So he did. So I started to drive away. So he didn't stop. Whatever stuff came in, he put it, and then he started to drive away. As I moved on, Pumphrey gave a despairing cry, a very sorrowful cry, very heartbreaking cry. Threw an armful of little coats through the window. So the car window was open, so she threw the armful of coats also into the window. What will people see there? And I looked in the mirror before I turned the corner. Everybody was in tears. So every single person who was in that household was in tears. He, Devanshi. Sorry, Devanshi, you are asked that. Okay, ask that.
Out on the road, I glanced down at the pathetic little animal gasping on the seat by my side. I patted the head and Tricky made a brave effort to wag his tail. Poor old lad, I said. You haven't a kick in you, but I think I know a cure for you.
Okay, stop. Pathetic, very pitiful, very the condition of Trixie. Yeah, that only. Very pitiful, very despairing, very heartbreaking, that kind of. So gasping, he's gasping for when he can't breathe. Yeah, any obese person gasps for breath, right?
We can't pronounce
Because what happens, their organs are with the fat, yeah, it compresses the organs of that person. So that's why we say, doctor says not to be very obese, because very obese will have heart palpitation will be there, your breathing will not be proper. All that problems come with that kind of overweight when you're overweight. So this is the thing, one, and because this dog was overweight, already he was panting. He couldn't. I patted his head and he made a brave effort to wag his tail. So even wagging his tail took a lot of effort. Okay, dogs, when they are very happy, they wag their tail, but even that wagging the tail took a very effort. When you're obese, as a lot of fat in your body, even walking takes a lot of effort. From year to year, when you walk, you start panting. Yes, they require stretchers and all that. When see these huge, and especially in America, because they have a lot of fatty foods. This one you see they're walking, their legs are not going to support them because legs are so small and they are so huge. Correct? So it becomes very difficult. It's a very sorry. Yeah. In India also there are people like that. Ambani ka yeah, there.
The only thing I obese about we had a fat reduction surgery twice.
Yeah, but that also
And you couldn't walk.
you can't walk.
वो ऐसे चलता है.
You can't walk because your legs are so small. It doesn't support this one. Your body will not be supported because you have excess fat. And this dog also the same thing. You haven't a kick in you. What do you mean by that? One kick you require?
Energy.
You don't have energy in you, and I think I know a cure for it. Is narrator as rich as Trixie's mistress? No. How does he treat the dog?
In a normal way.
In a normal way. We'll come to that. You have finished this in the school.
No, ma'am.
Yes.
No? That's what. Why is he tested to keep Trixie as a permanent guest?
Because he got out of those streets.
Why I asked you this question, because I showed you that when I was starting, so you should know this answer. Because the treats for which what was Tricky, he was enjoying that. And why does Mr. Pumphrey think of the dog recovery as a triumphant surgery?
Because it was successful.
Yeah, because she thought that whatever he was hospitalized and he must have had a surgery, and that's why he was like he's so energetic and all that. But did he do anything?
No.
Not a single thing.
And he got paid.
Yeah, and he got paid for it. So that is the best thing.
This surgery, the household was showed round, looked down at the mighty cast with dull eyes and very put down. They बार-बार ऐसे बजा after slipping around him for a few seconds, I made up the bed for him in a warm loose box next to one where other dogs slept. For 2 days, I kept an eye on him, giving him food but plenty of water. Giving him no food but plenty of water. At the end of the second day, he started to show some interest in his surroundings, and on the third day, he began to show some interest in his. And on the third day, he began to whimper when he heard the dogs in the yard.
Okay. So, what does search around me means? Search around me means.
Go around and
You see tides. You see the tides rise when it comes towards you. That is search. So here, when I say with dogs, what does it mean?
the dogs come towards you.
Correct. They jump at him, right? They all come together. When like dogs, how do they show their love? They run to the owner and they jump on him, right? Because they're very excited. So search around him is that. Like they all gathered around him and like really jumped on him. Ricky looked down at the noisy pack with dull eyes and when put down lay motionless on the cap. Now these dogs are very energetic. They are running about, but Trixie, on the contrast opposite, that he had dull eyes. These dogs had bright eyes. He had dull eyes. Why? Because he didn't have any energy in his body. And when he was put down, he lay motionless without movement. And the other dogs, after sniffing around for a few seconds, decided he was an uninteresting object and ignored him. So they sniffed around. You know, how do dogs meet? You see stray dogs meet, right? They would sniff around and they would jump around in this one. But he was just lying down. He didn't show any kind of interest on the dogs, and the dogs also lost interest in him because they're sniffing and then he's not giving any kind of reaction. In life it happens that when you are basically somebody news comes and that person is very listless and like no energy and doesn't talk. For a few minutes you will try, but after that you will move away. Same way with dogs. Dogs also initially they will come, they jump and all that, but there's no movement, no expression, nothing. So they moved away. They lost interest and they ignored him. Okay? Did not pay attention. Ignored it when he did not pay attention. I made up a bed for him in a warm, loose box next to the one where the other dog slept. So he made a separate bed. He made sure that his Dick is next to those dogs. But he made a little box, and in that box, this like cartons what you have. So that box, and he made a bed in it and put Trixie in it. For 2 days, it took him 2 days. First 2 days, he just kept an eye on this one, on Cookie, and gave him no food, but he gave him plenty of water. At the end of the second day, he started to show some interest in surrounding. And the third, he began to whimper. Whimper, dogs when they are like, you leave them and go. So they start crying. So whimper is that kind of cry. Okay. When he heard the dogs in the yard, so these dogs would go every day and play in the yard, and he would just lie down in that box. So when he heard the dogs barking and playing in the yard, he started whimpering. Like he also wanted to basically, that spark in him which was missing, that started coming back. He also like started whimpering that he also wants to go. When I opened the door, he trotted out and was immediately engulfed by Joe, the greyhound, and his friends. You know who's greyhound, right? Greyhound is a dog, it's a breed. Yeah, that has a sharp mouth. No. Greyhound is. This is a greyhound. They have the sharp. This one. Yeah. Not poodle. He is. I showed you now. Dashill. Dashill is the correct word.
ASC.
This is study. The actual word for that was passion. I couldn't get that word last time, so this is is display. Okay?
The accent is very common.
No, it is not common in India.
No, but
Abroad, yes. Okay? So what happened? He started whimpering, so he wanted to go out with the dog. So he opened the door and when he trotted out, I was immediately engulfed by Joe. Engulfed is he ran and they tumble off this. So he was engulfed by Joe, the greyhound, and his friend. So everybody surrounded him. Everybody gave him a welcome that time. After rolling him over and thoroughly inspecting the dogs moved up. If you've seen stray dogs also have this behavior, they see that or a stranger in their vicinity, they will go and surround that dog, they will sniff and they will jump on the dog and all that. So the same thing. After rolling him over and thoroughly inspecting him, the dogs moved off down the garden. Tricky followed him, then rolling slightly with his surplus flag. So when they started running towards the garden, and this Tricky also, he slowly tried, but he was waddling basically. If you've seen a duck, it waddles like that. It also started moving in that heavy this one and started going towards the surplus fat. Surplus fat, you know that excessive fat surplus. Yeah. Later that day, I was present at feeding time. So now 2 days he didn't have anything. Yeah, I know. 2 days he didn't have anything. Now only water he had. Now he had. I watched while he slopped the food into the bowls. Slop is literally licked. The food into the bowls. There was basically like how you're pouring. It's like sloppy mix, like soup. If you've seen how it is, you pour it down, so that kind of a thing. So the doctor was putting food into the bowls. There was usual headlong rush followed by the sound of high speed eating. Every dog knew that if he fell behind the others, he was liable to have some competition for the last part of the week. You should observe, animals. Basically, they will finish theirs, and in case somebody is slow, they will eat theirs also. Happens, and the dogs knew, so they ate up whatever given to them fast. Okay, so high speed eating, and every dog knew, whoever dogs were there in that if they fall short, then the other dog will try to eat whatever given to them. Okay. Read. But he eat fast.
From then on, this progress was rapid.
Why did this come?
When they had finished, Vicky took a walk around the shiny ball, flicking casually inside one or two of them. Next day, an extra ball was put out for him, and I was pleased to see him jostling his way to the field.
Why are you moving ahead? Where the Christian came? Christian have not come up till now.
I would did how you the word slop, right? It's put the food in the bowl. Like you put the food in the bowl before that word was got it. And Kristen was probably the person who put the food in the ground.
Yeah.
Not the doctor, it was him.
Yeah.
No, the doctor is not.
No, this is assistant. Kristen is a name. It's a name. Okay, so he's the one who helps the doctor around. Are you reading?
From then on, his progress was rapid. He had no medical treatment of any kind, but all day he ran about with the dog, joining in their friendly scrimmages. He discovered the joy of being called over,
Read, I'm not. Sorry, read.
tramped on and squashed every few minutes. He became an accepted member of the gang and unlike the silky little object among the shiny breed, fighting like a tiger for a share at mealtime and hunting cats in the old house at night. He had never had such a time in his life.
Stop.
I was like a summer camp.
Yeah, it was a summer camp for a dog, and the second thing, nothing was wrong with him. He was overeating. That is what. So after 2 days, when the system like washes out, because he gave him a lot of water. So that system was, without the system is now coming on track. He started eating. Okay. And when they had finished, he took a walk around the shining holes, licking casually. So the doctor had not given him nutrition, had given all the other dogs, but not him. So this he now got interested in food, so he started licking the bowls. Remember, he has not got food, so he's licking the bowls and shining bowls, licking casually inside one or two of them. Next day, an extra bowl was put out for them. So next day, the third day, they put out another bowl for him. Okay, this time they gave him food, and I was pleased to see him jostling his way towards. Jostling is pushing. Jostling means pushing his way towards it. In the train, in the bus, you get jostled. That means you get pushed. Remember, in locals, when you travel, you get pushed. So that is not known as jostling. Jostle is the root word. From there, you get this one, jostling. From then on, his progress was rapid. So after that, once he started, I don't have the energy today. I'm seriously on this. So from then on, his progress was rapid, and he had no medicinal treatment of any kind, but all day he ran with the dogs, joining in their friendly scrimmages. What does scrimmages mean? Playing around, jumping around, hunting, pulling, like, tugging. That is scrimmage. Basically, they find something, dogs pull, all that. So that kind of scrimmage. They're playing and jumping and all that. Alright. So, like, he was not given any kind of medicines, and he was basically with the dogs, only the company of the dogs, he started getting energetic. He started seeing these dogs. He started finding that interest in the dogs, and he started running about, and he started searching, jumping, playing with the dogs. The visions is that he discovered the joys of being bowled over and trampled on. Bowled over is like, they run and they jump over him. They just like a ball. He keeps on like tumbling. There, sorry,
Trampled.
there.
You just told trampled, right?
Trampled.
Over. Trampled.
Tramped on is basically jumped on. Tramped on and squashed every few minutes. So they would, like, how dogs play. They would push each other, they will jump on each other, they will, like, roll each other, that kind of. Tramped, it means trampled. That's what I use the word trampled. Tramped. And squashed every few minutes. He became an accepted member of the gang. So this dog was a gang and he became an accepted. An unlikely silky little object among the shaggy crew. Crew again is a collective noun, group. So among the dog, he was literally this tiny, like, black color dog, and like he was basically, he became one of them, fighting like a tiger for a share at mealtime. So now he has his energy, so he's fighting like a tiger. Now here this is a simile. So he's compared like how a tiger pounces on its food, its prey. Like that, he also pounced on his food. Okay. At mealtime, hunting rats in the old hen house at night. So dogs love to hunt. So they hunted rats in the hen house. They had this house. Hen house is what? Where they keep hens. So there the rats would come and this one. He had never such a time in his life. So he had never experienced this kind of life with Mr. Pumphrey. If you remember, he was more cajoled, was taken care of, like pampered and all that. But here, he was not given excessive food. He was given food on time. He was kept with the other dogs where he ran about. He, like, played and all that.
All the while Mr. Humphrey offered initiative in the matter, bringing the lesson times a day for the last
Latest bulletins.
latest bulletins.
News.
The questions about whether his cushions were being
Turned regularly.
regularly or his correct code going according to the weather, but I was able to tell her that the little fellow was out of danger and convalescing rapidly. The word convalescing seemed to do something to Mr. Concord. She started to bring around fresh eggs, 2 dozen at a time, to build up tricky strength for a happy clear May partners, and I had 2 eggs each for breakfast. But when the bottle of wine began to arrive, the real possibilities of the situation began to dawn on the household.
Last line also read.
It was to administer his blood lunch game of ceremonial occasions with 2 glasses of wine before and 7 during the meal.
Alright. So all the while with Howard is like, like the helicopter hovers in the air. Sorry? Yeah. What? Lingered. Okay, yeah. I heard something good as a what? Okay, lingered around, yes, very anxiously in the background. So she would always, because she can't be without Ricky, so like she's basically keep on phoning in, like, troubling him. Ringing a dozen of time a day for the latest bulletin. Bulletins are your news. English bulletins, when you had those are the news. So she would always ask about Ricky, what was it? I dodged the question of you play dodgeball. What is the aim of dodgeball? Avoid. So the same thing here also, he dodged. Dodge means he avoided certain questions. Now which questions were there? Whether his cushions were turned regularly. So question what she had given? What? That is volleyball. Yeah. I said dodgeball is when you're you stand in a circle and you hit. One person is standing in the middle and the rest are standing around. And you take the ball and you try to hit the person who's standing in the middle.
It's the person below their
Waist. That is called dodgeball. So you're trying to dodge the ball because you don't want to get hit. Because if you get hit, then you're out. Then interchange places. Football is different thing. Okay. I dodged the question.
अरे मेरे को पता है थोड़ा सा फिर भी अरे ऑडिटोरियम बारिश के वक्त ये सॉरी
Alright. I dodged the question from whether his questions were turned regularly or the correct coat worn according to the weather. So whether he's wearing the correct clothes, whether his cushions are being turned, that's it. But I was able to tell her the little fellow was out of danger and convalescing rapidly. Convalescing means recovering, healing. And the word convalescing seemed to do something to Mrs. Crosby. So she got excited. Oh, he's getting well. So on getting well, what did she bring? Without eggs and then wine. Now what? Doctor can't give because you are not supposed to give dogs eggs and wine. Yeah. So she started bringing around 2 dozens. 1 dozen was not 2 dozen eggs. Okay. And bring up Ricky's. Yeah, started.
dog eat drink wine.
So dogs can drink anything. You give dogs ice cream. The dogs licks ice cream. Correct. That is good for the health. But she's not seeing that she is doing more harm than good. So as I said, that kind of love is very dangerous. You see Bollywood movies, right? You see that like the rich parents are supplying, and what that person becomes kind of a villain, right? Yes or no? Spoiled and very dominating and very, very aggressive. That time. In real life also it happens, but I'm just giving you an instance like what happens when too much of love is showered on somebody. Your parents were called this week? Okay, soon they will be called. And you both are heading in that direction.
And you should go ahead and say, he's literally is anything. Starting
So turn a deaf ear to him.
then also
I think
Dipanshu? Dipanshu, na?
हाँ मैंने कुछ नहीं बोला
Dipanshu.
Ma'am, you can ask him.
मैं पीछे से काला काला बोलता है
Ma'am, उसको मैं बोलता हूँ
Are you a racist?
no ma'am because he was telling me from starting.
मैंने देखो कुछ बोला ही नहीं. Ma'am, you can ask both of them. I did not say.
वो तेरे दोस्ती है क्या हुआ?
Now pay attention here. So she brought 2 dozen eggs to build up Ricky's energy. Okay. Now already he's energetic and top of it which is recovering, so 2 dozen. For a happy period, my partners and I had 2 dozen each for breakfast. So 2 eggs each. So like 2 eggs each for breakfast. So the partner, he has 2 partners. There's my partners, S is there. So there he had 2 partners and they go to morning breakfast just 2 eggs per this one day. And then, but when the bottles of wine began to arrive, the real possibility of the situation began to dawn on the household. Now, whose household? We are talking about the doctor's household. She's brought wine also. So now, like like he's tempted to keep Ricky still recovering. Because why? He's getting free eggs, he's getting free wine. And wine also not cheap wine.
Mine is expensive.
The ones where humans can have, like means that dogs cannot have wine, but as I said, expensive must be. So to enrich Ricky's blood, so he's brought a good brand of wine. And you heard of Sula wines, right? Sula wines and all the different kinds of wines available. Yeah, French wine and all that. So there are cooking wines also. If you see. So lunch became a ceremonial occasion. Now, normally what happens before lunch, normally they have a glass of wine, and during lunch they may have. It is if you go to a good restaurant, especially as I said, this is a trend abroad. If you go to a good restaurant, you'll find that like they offer you wine, even if you even if you go to barbecue, not barbecue nation, doesn't mean. Any restaurants here like Tunga or any restaurants. High-end one, 5 star. They offer you a selection of wine. They will give you that drinks menu and they will give you that. So that is, yeah. So, so depends on what you want. You want a so this wine which was what they started having this kind of having a glass of wine before lunch, and then during lunch also they will have wine. So this becomes a kind of a ceremony for them. You know that kind.
Brandy, they say. It's a bit high.
Okay, 2 glasses of wine before and separate during the meal. So imagine how much wine she has brought. In a bottle of wine, there will be specific number of glasses. You cannot have like, but 1 wine glass, and then you have 2 glasses of wine before the lunch, and then several during the lunch. So how many bottles of wine she has brought? 3.
We could hardly believe it when the branding came to put a final edge on Tricky's contribution. For a few nights, the few spirit was rolled around in it and reverently drunk. There were days of deep confidence staring well with the extra egg in the morning. Improved and sustained by the midday wine and finishing luxuriously round the fire with the brandy. It was a temptation to keep Ricky on as a permanent guest, but I knew Mrs. Humphrey was suffering, and after a fortnight, felt compelled to phone and tell her that the little dog had recovered and was awaiting collection.
So what happens? Ricky is enjoying selected food, means very less food they would give. He would run about with the dogs and all that. While Mrs. Pumphrey said, "Oh, let him buy, let him this one." Whatever they have said is enjoyed by these people, by the dogs, by the doctors. So we could hardly believe when the brandy came. Now first wine came to lunch, they enjoyed life. Now brandy is come.
Now what is
Brandy is an alcohol. Basically, even brandy is given to 1 spoon of brandy is normally for cough and cold. Okay, it kind of has a medicinal, yeah, because it's very heaty. It clears your throat. So when brandy came to put a final edge on Ricky's constitution. Constitution is the way he is healthy, for healthy constitution, what you have. For a few nights, the fine spirit was rolled around. Rolled around means passed around. Okay? Brandy. Brandy. Okay? Spirit, because this fine spirit means it was a very good quality of brandy. Okay? Was rolled around, inhaled. Like they would smell the brandy. That because it was such a good quality of brandy. And reverently is very sacred. You have sacred drinks like Ganga Jal, what you say. So you very very what do you say? With devotion, yes. You drink it with devotion. So that kind of brandy was like, so they would drink that. Just so what happened? There were days of 5 deep content. Content is happiness, satisfaction. Okay, satisfaction. Staring well with an egg, starting well. So how did the day start? They would start with an egg. They would have egg for breakfast in the morning, improved and sustained by midday wine. So then in the afternoon they will have wine. And then finishing luxuriously round the fire with the brandy. In the evening time, they would sit round the fire and have a glass of brandy. So that's how the days passed. No, only themselves. They enjoy themselves because you are not supposed to give it to the dog. And even after telling, you're not supposed to give it. Still, she used to do it.
And his company.
Huh?
The owner knew it.
No, the owner did not know. So these were they. Whenever she said this, they were enjoying it. Remember, he says, "I dodged the question." He dodged the question. He would not answer. He would just make up some excuse and he would not answer. Understood that way. And then it was a temptation. Now he was very tempted to give Tricky because why? If Tricky was with him, definitely the eggs, the wine, and the brandy will keep on coming. So that was a temptation for him. So he was tempted to keep Tricky as a permanent guest. But I knew Mrs. Pumphrey was suffering and after a fortnight felt compelled. He felt forced. Compelled is when you're forced to phone and tell her that the dog has recovered and is awaiting collection. So he after a fortnight he said no, I need to return because she was pining away for him. Pining away is when somebody is away from the house, you wish that person to come back, right? The one you love very, very much. So that way he knew that she was waiting for Tricky to come back because Tricky was alive, right? She loved him so much. So he said, I had to. And because of her love for Tricky, he had to give Tricky back. Otherwise, he would have enjoyed. No? He would have got wine, he would have guessed, he would have got brandy, everything he done. But she was forced. Compelled is forced. Read Hasta.
Within minutes, about 30 feet of gleaming black metal blew up outside the surgery. The chauffeur opened the door and I could just make out the figure of Mrs. Copley almost lost in the interior. Her hands were tightly clasped in front of her, her lips trembling. Oh, Mr. Elliot, do tell me the truth. Is he really better? Yes, he's fine. There's no need for you to get out of the car. I'll go and fetch him. I walked through the house into the garden. A mass of dogs were hurtling round and round the lawn, and in their midst, ears flapping, tail waving, was a little golden figure of Ricky. In 2 weeks, he had been transformed into a lead harmless and angry. He was keeping up well with the band, stretching out in great bounds, his chest almost brushing the ground for his turn.
So, as soon as he phoned, within 30 minutes, it hardly took him 30 minutes, but she arrived in the car. Gleaming black metal, basically, the car was black in color, and it drew up outside the surgery. That means it came to the place, to his clinic, the surgery clinic what he has. The shopper, now, you see the difference. Here, he's enjoying wine, eggs, and this one because she was very rich. So, and she has a chauffeur. Chauffeur is normally the driver who is very, very, means of a person who is very rich. So the chauffeur opened the door and I could just make out the figure of Mrs. Pumphrey lost in the engine. So it's a huge car. And Mrs. Pumphrey was a small little part of that car, on the seat. It's a law. It seems as if she's lost in the seat. And her hands were tightly clasped. Clasped is held like this. So she was tightly clasped in front of her. Her lips trembled. Oh, Mr. Harriet, do tell me the truth. Is he better? She was unable to believe that Ricky is better. She wants to confirm that he's really well or not. Yes, he's fine. There's no need for you to get out. He says, you don't have to get out of the car. I'll go and bring him. Now, when he went to this one, you see, I walked through the house into the garden. A mass of dogs, remember all the dogs, hurtling round and round the garden. Hurtling is basically running, jumping about around the garden, the lawn, and in their midst,
In between.
yeah, in between, ears flapping, ears flapping. Remember, I showed you the Russian. His ears were like flapping like that, like birds. How the wings flap, So his ears also were going up and down, flapping, tail waving, and his tail. Remember, when he brought him to the clinic, he could hardly move his tail, wag his tail. But now his tail is wagging, and little golden figure of Tricky. Now look at the drastic transformation. 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, he had transformed into a lift. Lift is thin, hard muscled animals. Hard muscle is showing. Agile. Lift is also agile. Agile is flexible and like. And he was keeping up well with the back. So initially he was jostling. If you remember, the word jostling was used. There he's moving around. But now he's running with full energy. Stretching out in great bounds, his chest almost brushing the ground. So his chest, because he has small legs, his chest is almost brushing the ground. Okay, because he's this long dog, right? So that way. I carried him back along the passage to the front house. The shopper was still holding the car door open when Tricky saw his mistress. Okay, so he carried him along the passage to the front house. So this door, he was in the backyard. From there, he's taking him through the house to the car. Okay, he has to pass a passage. And the shopper was still holding the car door open when Tricky saw his mistress. He took up my arms, was probably with a tremendous leap and sailed into Pumphrey's lap. So initially he didn't have energy. Now he's jumping out of his arms and he jumped on her lap. Okay, sailed into Mrs. Pumphrey's lap. She gave a startled oh and then had to defend herself as he swarmed over her, licking her face and barking. So Ricky is also excited. He also loves this. Shows that Ricky also loves his mistress. So he's licking her, and if non-stop licking, you feel like you are basically swamped. What does swamped means?
Swamp. A swamp is
I'm not talking about marshy area. What does swamped here means?
means cloud.
Crowding. Crowding. When you basically, that is the correct word. Crowding him. Like crowding the mistress because she's continuously licking. So like you basically like he's so excited to see her. Last slide. Read.
During the excitement, I had the shopper to bring out the best toys, cushions, coats, and bowls, none of which had been used. As the car moved away, Mrs. Pumphrey leaned out the window. Tears shone in her eyes. Her lips trembled. Oh, Mr. Harriet, she cried. How can I ever thank you? This is a triumph of surgery.
Why?
Of surgery.
Why this is a triumph of surgery?
Because the Mr. thought that he had gone through a big surgery, but in real,
He was not taken for
he had to take
hospital
off
for
a
healing.
workout.
It was Mr. Harriet who did all the miracle. So it was miracle of surgery.
What does surgery means?
Surgery is
Operation.
medical assistance.
Correct. So triumph of surgery because of the drastic change what happened to treatment. That's why she said the triumph of surgery.
Arthur James Henry was the person who wrote this.
It's yeah. If you've seen even Ruskin
owner
Burns
reads
writes what he has experienced.
But when the writer wrote the chapter, the owner of the dog wrote the chapter. I read the chapter.
No, he was a doctor, veterinarian.
But he was a writer also.
So that's what his experience.
No, the owner of Ricky,
Ah,
if she read the chapter.
so what?
And they find out that they had given.
The
That's
family-
okay.
So she had a lot of money.
Yeah, she would have given it more because why he's healed. Whatever said in that he's healed. And she loves the dog to the core. So
She would see who
She
was
would, yeah.
actually consumed the money.
she wouldn't have.
And ma'am, like,
She would have felt foolish rather.
ma'am, do you think that Mrs. Pumphrey would still continue to spoil
Yes,
the dog?
definitely.
That means the dog might come back.
Okay.
So,
Yes.
that means he'll get fined later as well. So
Yes.
Or give to a doctor.
Yeah.
Remember is this
So to bring out the bed, the toys, cushion, folds, none of which had been used. So he brought whatever luxurious item was there, not a single thing Ricky had used. Here shown in our eyes, leaned out of the window. Leaned in, basically bent, like you're bending out of the window. Oh, Mr. Harriet, how can I ever thank you? This is a transit surgery. Check.
Ma'am, but is this a real story?
It is written by the veterinarian, so definitely you are talking about his experience. Okay. Where is which this one it is? Volume 1? No,
Volume three.
Volume 3. Just check triumph of surgery.
Ma'am, page number
A triumph in surgery. Which volume?
86.
Volume 3. Do the MCQs. What time is the
Ma'am, 9.
9. Still have time. Why? Next time will throw you out. You didn't bring a textbook or
I didn't.
then why are you? Textbook you brought. Page number
86.
Yes, ma'am. Vanilla. Page number
86. Footprints without feet. Theme of the story, please read. Finish. Kaushik. I have the child called Kanesh. Means in my school there's a Kanesh and he's Kaushik, so that's what I get confused.
Ma'am, your Portuguese spelling is different. It's Y, but in the textbook it's
It's
given
I. It's okay. But you write in the textbook, not what is written in YouTube. Read the theme, please.
This lesson is about an elite.
Where is your book?
I said,
He doesn't know how to read. We have to send him back to the kindergarten.
This lesson is about an elite dog named Ricky. And this mistress, Mrs. Brown. She was a very nice and rich lady.
Rice.
Nice. She was a very rich lady. Her overfeeding the dog had made it very fat and she came to the narrator's clinic. When this advice did not work and Vicky was in danger, she called on the narrator and he decided to take the dog to his clinic. Mrs. Pumphrey was very frightened. The narrator gave the dog nothing to eat for first 2 days except water. On the third day, the dog started showing some signs of improvement.
Theme.
Now he started to take food, and within a week,
Volume
he
3.
got well. Mrs. Coffee started sending eggs and wine for the health of the dog. The narrator himself ate them and also enjoyed it very much. After a fortnight, Mrs. Pumphrey was called to take back the dog home. Mrs. Pumphrey was very happy. The lesson imparts
Underline this.
a message for the ones suggesting them to own their responsibilities. They should not shower unnecessary love to the young ones, as it might be fatal to their life.
Very important. This one you have to underline.
Father is harmful. Marriage is harmful.
That's yes. Now do the MCQ. Extra based questions then. 89.
अरे बता नहीं उसका एक खत्म रहता है भाई
They go inside the text.
अंदर जाएगा
You should always carry a pencil. Start doing the MCQ. Kaushik, move this side.
This no passage.
Extract which question?
Page number
89.
it maybe should be. I'm despair between
When I was explain the meaning of despair.
sad.
Anxious, worried, sad, sorrowful.
Very nice.
Now we need to do all three. All three.
All 3 weeks.
There are 3 questions.
You have to do everything. And this question came up. We are often overindulgent towards people we care about. Explain with reference to the context or trials in surgery. This question came up.
Possessive is the right word for
No, no.
possessiveness is what?
Possessiveness is when you don't want to share this with anybody. That is possessive.
I'm the first answer to be anything.
You write, no, we are discussing that first write or just say.
What is the meaning of this?
What's the meaning of
People.
which one?
It's all
The grand life of comfort and luxuries that we can enjoy.
What is the meaning of
no, the
indulgent?
third one, based on the happy one.
Read the sentence.
What is the meaning of
It's
indulgent?
Indulging is basically giving everything what, and indulging is having also. Yeah. Okay. Did you finish this ABCD question answers? Read the extract. I said page number 89, first one, from the first one.
I did the MCQ. Not the
What you want about the third one?
Now the meaning of people.
Indulgent तो पीछे है ना
Meaning of people. Speak.
Indulgent तो पीछे है आंसर
Yeah, but take the answer.
नहीं मैं वो पूछ रहा था ना आपको indulgent का मीनिंग क्या है तो मैं
I
बताऊँ
think well most actually.
मुझे नहीं वो मुझे indulgent
There are 3 categories. Remember, there are 3 categories in your this one. One is short answers, one is medium this one, and one is long answer. So be careful. That's what I'm saying. You have this kind of long answer which a scheme is asked, and do you agree with that? And you have to give reference from the text to write the answer.
2 marks question would be right 40 marks, 41.
Yeah.
responsibility to write.
Finished? You're looking here and there.
Ma'am, in the fourth part of third question, it is written like he had been down. So do we need to mention he or we can just write he?
No.
This part, the narrator describes Pretty as a pathetic little animal. Here, both cases contain Pretty's conviction and believe Pretty's health was deteriorating.
Pathetic, what did I say?
Pretty.
Then it cannot be both. Remember, MCQs will be only one correct. It cannot be 2, 3 correct. MCQs will have only one correct answer. Huh? It will not have 2, 3 correct answers. Yeah, thank you. Not now. I'll give it to me next class. I'll take it and I'll correct it. One only letter you wrote. Okay. One letter you wrote and one this one, right? Analytical paragraph, write it next because I want to take both. See, now you can improve because these are 5 mark ones.
Man, so it's a because it was not said.
I check the first. I'm not check. Sincerely spelling is again wrong.
SINCERLY.
CER.
This time I've written all the
SINCERLY.
E is thing.
Thank you.
Acting you to argue like or sincerely or yeah.
You have not, there are defective items. You have not given the list of defective items, Bhagman. Yes, because your draft returns. You have to make up list of defective items. This is wrong, Bhagman. Yeah. Again, you wrote physical education instructor center. Agra, where's the pin code gone? This, I told you this date format is wrong. 25th, 7th, this month, I told you. Then your address, then your subject. What? Bang mein. But at least your this one is language is okay. Format is wrong. You can't write wrong format. Where's the date gone? Where's the date gone?
Here it is. Here it is.
Where 8 PH na 8 May PH is gone where
PH8.
and one line you are supposed to leave.
So it will come at 9.
This is
Request for the facility, request for canteen facility, request for the facility of school canteen, canteen facility in school. Framing of the sentence is wrong. Now, why they are not bringing this one tiffins? Because they're like working parents and they don't have the time. So
I have not written the reason.
you should write the reason. Understood? That is why. Children's,
Student.
children or students. Children is plural in itself. You don't have an S to it. The canteen should have hygienic eatables. What are the eatables?
I was given.
If you give it to you have to describe a little bit now what it is.
I have not written too much about that.
No, but you have not given paragraphs also. No full stop. Thanking you, yours sincerely. Nobody is writing yours sincerely. Huh? At least it is better than last time, but still there is a lot of improvement needed. You will hardly get 3 marks in that again because you lost.
Bye.
I
Thank you.
मैम अभी कितना मार्क्स दोगे आप?
2.
3 please.
Because you have not mentioned the list, there are certain things you have to mention. I keep on telling you are changing. You want something to be changed, you need the list now. What things has to be exchanged. Without that, how will you get?
2.5.
No, it's only 2. Suggestions of arranging a sports club. Suggestion of arranging a sports club or to organize to establish a sports club. For a small suggestion of arranging sports club, are requesting you to arrange for suggestions.
The next class we have to write an analytical paragraph.
Yeah, and get write one more letter because that letter, as I said, has to be your proper formatting has to be there. Necessity spelling. There should be a separate spelling. Tactic skills. New tactic skills, what does it mean? We have tactic skills, we have. We have grown new tactic skills, we have. Again, contradictory. Share them and motivate other students. Source of motivation, this is fine. Source of motivation, but this particular is rubbish. This is fine. This is fine. Even till here it is fine. Your second body paragraph is rubbish. You are talking about you want a sports club to enhance the the skills of students. You're talking about physical skills. You're talking about then your tactic skills is no skills. I have no idea right now, beta. Up till now, no idea. But normally Saturdays only you'll have classes. They'll give you the syllabus. Grammar and then 1 or 2 lessons will be there. Definitely will be there. You cannot have only grammar. Because from passages from these lessons will be given for your comprehension. Right now, so these are the content. Whatever lessons we have finished, these are content.
We don't have
Literature exams we're talking about from tuition, you will get a syllabus.
Now we don't have to memorize much.
Memorize, basically, I don't want you to memorize anything, but as I said,
No, because I'm perfectly fine. Like writing it.
no, but you don't write rubbish. Go to the
I won't write English.
no, I
बैग लेके जा रहे हैं आएंगे नहीं अभी